In the ongoing CBS News series, Eye on America, we're taking a closer look at some of the employees and families whose lives were upended by those massive roundup of undocumented workers in Mississippi. Last week, federal agents arrested about 680 workers at 7 food processing plants in 6 different cities. Now, one of the plants at the center of the raids has a history of troubling legal allegations. CBS News contributor Maria Elena Salinas is here with more on the story. So, Maria Elena, I guess the first question is, how are the families doing?
Well, they're doing okay. They're difficult for them to be dealing without having their loved ones. You know, families whose loved ones were arrested in the raid say they not only relied on their family members' income, but also they relied on their help day-to-day life. We spoke to one family who doesn't know when or if their father will come home. Ingrid Sontay is now the sole caretaker of 9 children, 6 of her own, including her 7-year-old son, who has autism. Her husband, Neri Sorak, who is the sole provider for the family, was arrested in last week's raids, along with her sister-in-law.
He wasn't perfect, but I really did love him. And I still do, but I miss him.
Of the 680 people detained, around 300 were temporarily released. But Sontay's husband, who is undocumented, was not one of them.
Every day I look at my kids crying. There's no good. There's no.
This woman, who asked us not to use her name out of fear for retaliation, works at Cook Foods and witnessed the raids. I wanted to alert others in the community that ICE was there so they wouldn't come to work, she says. As we've learned, it's a workplace with a troubling legal history. More than 50 former and current workers at Cook Foods filed a sexual harassment and labor abuse lawsuit against the company in 2011.
Nosotros no nos dejábamos, nos iban a correr.
You were touched by the supervisor, and the supervisor would tell you that if you complained about it, you would get fired. So you didn't complain. The lawsuit was settled last year for nearly $4 million, although Cook Foods said these cases involved numerous contrived and fabricated allegations of mistreatment.
Tengo un problema y se me escucha más fácil.
So now it's a lot easier for you because you have more rights and there are ways for you to denounce any kind of injustice. As far as the raids last week, no employers targeted have been prosecuted, as hundreds of undocumented workers are detained, separated from their families.
And anytime we execute a criminal search warrant, we're looking for additional evidence.
Mike Hurst is a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Mississippi. The operation last week was directed at those who employ undocumented immigrants, yet there are hundreds of workers in jail and not a single employer has been prosecuted. Why?
This was simply the execution of administrative and criminal search warrants at these different sites. If they come into contact with illegal aliens, their job is to enforce law.
This investigation was months in the making, yet Mississippi U.S. Attorney's Office claims they don't yet have enough evidence to prosecute any of the employers. Responding to the raids, Cook Foods says an employer can dutifully and diligently comply with the immigration laws and still not know if someone of its workers or some of its workers are unauthorized.
We're talking about hundreds of workers here. How can the employer not know?
In fact, part of the harassment that some of them are subjected to is that they're saying, if you don't do what we say, we're going to call immigration.
Also, we may not have to pay you because what are you going to do? Go to court? You're not a citizen.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing that's so hard, Maria Elena, is to see all the children crying who are separated from their parents. So is there do you see resolution in those cases? On one hand, it's very tough to see. On the other hand, people would say, yeah, but their parents broke the law.
Right.
And that's how it goes.
And we did speak to that, to the daughter of this family, to the mother. They said, yes, we understand, but we're not here to take anything away from anyone. We don't commit any crimes. We don't hurt anyone. We just came here to work and provide for our children. And we did talk to the U.S. Attorney about that and saying, does the crime
does
really
the punishment
fit the punishment?
Yeah, does the punishment fit the crime? Yeah.
Right. And are you being selective on these people who are just here to feed their families, and now they're
detained, and these employers are not. These employers are home free with their families.
Yeah.
Very quickly, is the U.S. Attorney going to pursue action against the employers?
Well, he says he's in the middle of the investigation and doesn't know yet.
What more do you
when
need to find out?
That investigation.
You lose
will
your
end.
job, then you lose your family, and maybe back wages too.
Right. The good thing is that the family now has permission to go visit the dad, so at least he'll be able to see his
There's
children.
got to be a better way.
Maria Elena, thank you
you
so much.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.